Hey guys, new topic for Round 9 Gaming. This one comes from Samuel7190. He says, why are there less 2+ co-op local than in the past? Well, that is what I think, or are there less? Okay, that doesn't make sense. Just give your thoughts on the subject. Also, keep up the awesome videos, and if you can bring out more content, also please send me a friend request, Samuel7190. Samuel, I cannot send my friends are full. I cannot say this enough times, guys. My friends are full. I know 2,000 limit on PSN. I have reached it. I have 52,000 subscribers. I'm sorry. I can't add any more of you. Now, I want to apologize first because I'm only using Samuel's screenshot, but I get this topic really often. Like, why are there less, split screen? Why is there less co-op, local multiplayer, things like that? I get this topic like at least, I don't know, like once a week or something like that. So, but I remember I screen capped this one like a very, very, very long time ago, so I just used his. It's one of the earliest ones I can remember, but I know this one gets asked a lot. So yeah, let's just get into it. Local multiplayer, why is it gone? Why is it not as prevalent as it used to be? The easiest thing to look at here is that when developers and publishers are making a game, they want to gauge a number of different elements of what makes a game sell, what are people going to want, how are people going to buy this, and things like that. And of course, the big thing recently is online multiplayer. It has proven to be a selling factor for people. It has been proven to be a factor for a gamer to hold on to a game for a longer period of time than a single player game. They're less likely to trade it in if there's a multiplayer component. They're less likely to sell the game if it has promised DLC or something like that. There's a number of elements that a publisher does and looks at to decide how they fund games and how a game's going to work and all the different features and elements that a game's going to have. And the thing about local multiplayer is there's no real true way to sort of gauge that anymore. Or like back in the day, PlayStation 2, the PlayStation and 64, Xbox, things like that. Local multiplayer was a big thing because that was the only multiplayer. So it was a big selling feature. That was a proven tactic for publishers and developers to sell you a video game, is that, hey, couch co-op. This is a game you can play with friends. This is the only way you're going to play with friends is local multiplayer. That was a proven element, a proven selling factor. Nowadays, that's not the case anymore. Online multiplayer is a selling factor. That's a big element that developers and publishers look at to sell you video games. And the fact of the matter is, there's no way to differentiate that from local multiplayer. There's no way to really gauge online multiplayer versus local multiplayer. Of course, a lot of developers and publishers still understand that people like it, that people enjoy it, and that some developers do end up putting it in the game. Some people request it, and maybe the developer will patch it in a very rare circumstance and things like that. But that's why it's less prevalent, is because we've just moved to that different generational leap. The big sell is online multiplayer. That's the simple reality of it. I'm sure you guys all were expecting that answer in this video. But that's more of a businessy side to look at it, is that's what publishers do, is they look at it and say, this is what's going to make the game have staying power with the consumer. This is what's going to sell. And that's what they did in the past, because that was the only way to play multiplayer, was local multiplayer. And that's what Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft were all touting when they were selling their own consoles to you, was these extra ports for controllers and things like that. That was the whole point. That's why it made sense back then. That's why it has changed now, and it makes better sense now for like online multiplayer. But even other circumstances, it's like big AAA, big budget games. Split screen doesn't really work because you're cutting off so much screen real estate. A lot of developers have talked about this in interviews. You're cutting off lots of real estate. It requires a lot more horsepower. A lot of instances where they do offer a split screen, they tell you like, hey, frame rate's going to drop. You're not going to get as good of a frame rate, or it's limited to 4 players at 30 frames or something like that. We can't offer you certain areas of the game and split screen or what have you, or something like that. With big budget games, that's why it's tough to do the split screen now, because there are legitimate drawbacks. Whereas back then, it wasn't really a big issue because it wasn't that demanding of a feature. Or hardware-wise, it wasn't that demanding of a feature. So there's a good idea there, and that's why you can also see why a lot of independent developers, a lot of indie games offer split screen, because those games are not demanding on the hardware. You know, a lot of independent games are you know, side scrollers, 2D, maybe 3D, but there's not that complex of graphics going on and things like that. You all know what I'm getting at, right? These games are just not that intensive on the hardware, and that's why those games can easily offer local multiplayer. And that's a good thing for the independent developer, because not only can they offer you that feature more easily, but they can also have that niche of saying, you know, hey, here's a local multiplayer game, here's a couch co-op game, here's a game that you can play old school style and things like that. And that's the great thing about, you know, independent games, is that you do often see not only local multiplayer, but just old school style games in general. That's kind of the cool thing about indie games, that they're, a lot of the times they can be a big throwback to games from the past. So, you know, with all your big budget games and things like that, it's going into this you know, direction of big budget, you know, 1080p, 60 frames. They're trying to tell stories. You know, they're pushing like graphics like never before. Online multiplayer. You know that deal there, and that's why, you know, smaller scale games can offer you those things. That's just unfortunately that's just the way it is, and I'm right there with you. I would you know, with the people that submit these topics and that they miss these games, I miss them too. But you know, every once in a while, that's why I bust out a PlayStation 2, 2 DualShocks, and we just have a good old time, man. Oh, and budget too. That's a big thing. Like with games, you know, they have a budget. There's only so much money they can spend. There's only so much time on features they can work on, and it goes back to the thing of what publishers do, is they look at what elements of game are worth, you know, incorporating, what's going to sell to the consumer. With that, you know, local multiplayer is not a thing that they deem as that important of a place to spend time and money on, because again, the online multiplayer and things like that, you know what I'm getting at. But that's another thing I want to mention, like budget too, game budget, time, when, you know, how, you know, all these developers have a deadline of when to get the game out and things like that. That those are all big factors. But for the most part, that's pretty much it. So thank you, Samuel, and everybody that submits this topic. Again, I'm sorry, I should have screen capped like every single one of you and like gave you like a little screen grab or something on here or something like that. But again, thank you so much for submitting those topics. And so here it was. Finally did this one.